Shalom. Swallowing Yeshua. Welcome back again to the Rock. Some of the most important choices you make in your life, in fact, I will say the most important choices you will make in your life, are oftentimes going to be the most uncomfortable choices. As I've gone through this life, I'm not an old person, I'm still relatively young, but most of the important choices that I have made in my life have been uncomfortable and have resulted in some of the most uncomfortable positions I have been in. I think oftentimes we try to make decisions based on comfort levels, and that actually prevents us from making the right or the most beneficial decision. I hear on the Rock, every member of this household, every adult member of this household, came from, actually, you could technically say every member of this household, came from a major city, an area where you had millions and some of the most, populous areas in this country is where we came from. And it was, I remember when me and Sister Tanisha, Sister T came out here, it was a very uncomfortable feeling leaving what you were used to, leaving the city and leaving, even though we wanted to. Don't get me wrong, we wanted to leave. But leaving those areas, you are very comfortable with, and a life, whether the life was beneficial or not, doesn't change the fact that you're comfortable in it. Living in the hood, even though we knew it wasn't beneficial, we knew the politics of the hood. We knew the ways of the hood. We knew the areas of the hood. And you move to an area like this in the Ozarks, where for every one of these trees, it'd be a building. And now you're in an area where it's, listen to this, chickens, roosters, goats, owls, cats, dogs, raised beds that you're working on. And it was a significant shift in how we thought and what we lived, and even the dangers that we had in that area to now coming out here and facing whole new different dangers. So many people are afraid to make moves in their life because of fear. I remember people said, they would say things like, well, there's crazy, snakes out there. Oh yeah, there's poisonous snakes out here. But there's also poisonous snakes in the hood. They just walk on two legs. Or when we left the church, when we left traditional westernized religion, whether that be, the faith, FAIF, these groups, camps, ministries, or whether it was the traditional Christian church. Because when I first met Sister Tanisha, she was heavily involved in the traditional westernized Sunday Christian church, and I wasn't going to church. And I told her I wasn't going to go to church until the Most High really revealed to me to God, that's what I knew him at the time, revealed to me truly who he was, because what I was seeing in religion was bull crap. I knew it. I knew what I was seeing in church was bull crap. My parents were high up in the church. So leaving the traditional westernized church and then studying for yourself is a very scary thing, because it goes completely against what everybody else does. It's completely uncomfortable to pick up that Bible and read it for yourself. And then to start doing it, realizing that a lot of the things that you're going to be doing don't fit in line with what traditional westernized religion says. Completely uncomfortable. And then you come to, what they call the truth, the faith. Well, it's really the faith, but it's supposed to be the faith. When you come to the faith, F-A-I-T-H, of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and you start keeping the commandments of Yah and following Yeshua, then you have a whole new set of groups that are out there trying to bring you in, and you realize the uncomfortable path has been the best one. It has resulted in the most growth for myself, my family, spiritually, mentally, physically, financially, peacefully. Is that even one of them? I don't know. I made it up. It should be one if it's not. But all these changes came with being uncomfortable. So back to moving out here, it was a very uncomfortable thing to move from an area that was 90% predominantly black to an area that where the numbers are inversed. It was uncomfortable. But sometimes those are the changes that you need to make. Those are the changes, not the change that makes sense to everyone else, but the change that Yah has led you to make. Not the change that's going to be beneficial to John or Pete or Sal, but the change that's going to be beneficial to you and your family. Following the ways of Yah, keeping the commandments, and going the ways that He has led you to go. Uncomfortable. When I read in the book, I see our ancient people, and I see a lot of uncomfortable changes that Abraham made. Going to a land that he didn't know. Oftentimes, going to lands where he may not have even known the language. Going into lands, Isaac, Jacob, same thing, the 12 tribes, when they left Egypt, when they weren't complaining. Going into areas, sometimes being instilled with fear. And then you have the doubters that sit back and ask or are cheering for you to fail. And the whole time, your whole mindset, your whole focus is, if I serve Yah and obey Him, I can't go wrong. If I obey Yah and I serve Him, I can't go wrong. If I obey Yah and I serve Him, I can't go wrong. But it was those uncomfortable changes that led to the greatest peace, the greatest joy, the greatest closeness that my family has ever experienced. To see life literally return back to, the eyes and to the faces, and to see the joy in the children. Knowing that for the first time, maybe the first time in your life, and when it comes to humongous changes, you made the right one. And all the other changes that you made that you were trying to make them comfortable. You were trying to appease your flesh, appease your carnal self, when you know that there were parts in you that were crying out for this change. There may have been spiritual parts of you that were just crying out. There was something in you that was crying out for this big, significant change. You need to make it. But you always get yourself caught up in what if, and what if, and what if, and but, and what if, and what if, and what if, and you find yourself not moving. You find yourself stuck. Sometimes those important changes, most of the time, those important changes that you make are definitely 100% going to be the most uncomfortable change you're going to make. You are going to make yourself uncomfortable. You're going to have to change the way you think. You're going to have to change the way you live. You're going to have to change the way you act. You're going to have to change the way you walk. You're going to have to change the way you live. You're going to have to change the way you spend money. You're going to have to change the way everything. You'll have to literally change. You'll have to be renewed by the transformation that is in your mind, that is in your heart, that is in your life. So many people look for humongous changes, and it's like they're not putting anything up. They're not putting anything up. I'll make a humongous change, yeah, but I don't want to be uncomfortable, and I don't want to experience anything that's going to be, perceptually negative, or I perceive it negative. I don't want to be challenged. Well, then that's not change. It's just mediocrity. And what you're finding out is a lot of people are very content being mediocre. But you're also going to find out that for a lot of people, that mediocrity that you chose, that unwillingness to be uncomfortable, the unwillingness to change, is going to be the cause of demise. And whether it's a full demise or it's just a demise financially, whether it's a demise in your security, whether it's a demise just in your family, whether it's just a demise in your mental, capacities. There are so many people that are depressed today because they had choices back then. I talk to them, and it's sad. They had choices 3 years ago. They had the ability to change. They had the ability to make a choice. They had the ability to go in different directions in their life and really put themselves in the path that Yah sent them on and in a position to be successful. And they chose the most convenient route. And that conveniency now has them stuck. And that conveniency was quicksand. And they stepped into it and they sunk, and now they can't get out of it. And that conveniency is not so convenient anymore. Don't find yourself in that position. Make the tough choices and changes now, so you don't have to make them later, or so they're not made for you forcibly later. That's what's happening. You have to learn that it's okay to be inconvenienced for a time. It's okay to change. It's okay to go through tough things, because any great real change comes with it. Just want to present this last thing to you. You know, when Yeshua went to and called his disciples, let's say Peter, he's fishing. He said, "I'll make you fishers of men." Peter had to drop the lifestyle that he knew and follow Yeshua. Men, that's an excellent example of what we have to do. Carry our stake, follow him. Count the cost and follow him. Sisters, same thing for y'all. Because time is running out to make those wise choices. Anyways, I want to ramble on any further. Just some thoughts are going on inside of my head. Passing them out to y'all. Hope they'll be a blessing to somebody. Bless y'all. Shalom.